Huh. Yeah. You know what time it is? Welcome back to the locker room with Coach Young. Tape up the ankles, clean up the floor. Game plan ready, we came for more. Down in the room where the real ones speak. Film on the wall and the whole team eat. The locker room. The locker room. Bring the grease, bring the fight. Coach Young in the mix, and we set tonight.
What is going on, everybody? This is your friendly neighborhood coach, and this is the next installment of the Locker Room. Listen, I've been gone for a while, but the reason I've been gone is because I've been retooling. I've been fixing some things up. So let me explain what the new and improved Locker Room is. The new and improved Locker Room is simply this. I'm still talking Cleveland sports. I'm talking all things Cleveland. When I get an opportunity, I want to welcome in all my YouTube fans. I want to welcome in all of my TikTok fans. Yes, Coach Young is here, and I'm here to make sure that, you get all things, not only Cleveland sports, but I talk sports all over the country. But here's the one thing that I have incorporated and added into the Locker Room. I have been coaching sports for over 30 years. Well, not 30, but 20, 25. All right. I live here in Phoenix, Arizona. And what I wanted to do was incorporate some great athletes here in Phoenix, Arizona. And so I have been coaching for 20 plus years. And so what I'm planning on doing on this side of the locker room, I'm not done. I'm not going to just stop and just be talking, Cleveland sports, but I'm going to be talking to athletes and coaches all around the valley, specifically the West Valley, where I live. And so I've created a lot of relationships, a lot of partnerships. And so I'm just looking forward to talking to a lot of people. So if you're here on YouTube, bless you. If you're here on Facebook, thank you. If you're here on Instagram, I know I ain't seen y'all in a long time. Bless each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for coming in. Like, comment, and share when you get an opportunity. This train is rolling, and I'm so excited for what the Locker Room is getting ready to do, not only in sports talk, not only in sports media, but also for high school sports in general. And let me say this. I'm not just going to be talking to football players and basketball players and baseball players, even though those were the three sports that I coached. What we also I want to talk to those badminton players. I want to talk to those soccer players. I want to talk to those, those swimmers. I want to talk to the people in cheer. I want to talk to all those athletes that may not be getting the recognition that they need. And so, don't get me wrong. I want to talk to the D1 athletes. Love them. And we want to be able to talk to D1 athletes, but I want to talk to the athletes that are working behind the scenes that people don't know. They may not be D1, but they're working just as hard as the D1 person. You know what I mean? So that's what the Locker Room is all about. And that's what I'm so excited about when it comes to the Locker Room. All right. But I'm here today bringing back the Locker Room, but I want to talk about the obvious. Let's talk about the obvious right now. LeBron James has decided to go to the Philadelphia 76ers. And so for me, I have my take. Of course, I want y'all to understand, and I'm also a member of the sports podcast called Three the Hard Way. If you have not seen Three the Hard Way sports talk, I want you to go to the tube called You, and I want you to type in Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast. Look at me, my man L Train, and the captain, Terrence Alston, T Money. And we talk about, Cleveland sports. But since this breaking news came down, and it's just breaking news in sports, y'all. Let's not get it twisted. There's a lot of things that are going on in this world that we need to be focused in more. But sometimes sports takes us away from all of the other things that go on. But LeBron James has decided to go to the Philadelphia 76ers. And I'm going to give my take on it. But first, I want to tell you, the Locker Room is sponsored by Road Dog Health and Wellness. Now, Road Dog Health and Wellness is something that I'm very near and dear to. I am a licensed personal trainer. I do my thing, and I know the summer is ending and people, want to get themselves in shape. I am doing a 45-day no fast food fasting regimen, and I'm asking folks to join me as I do it. We're not going to eat any fast food for 45 days. We're going to do nothing but eat healthy. We're going to do nothing but take in healthy foods. We're also going to eliminate snacking. We're going to do healthy snacks or whatever. So if you need help, I want you to go to roaddoghealth.com and go ahead and sign up and come get a consultation and let me show you how to become the most healthiest version of you. So today's episode of The Locker Room is sponsored by Road Dog Health and Wellness. And like the motto says, there are no games, no gimmicks, because you've got to grind. Let's go. All right. So let's get started. Let's talk about this. LeBron James has decided to go to the Philadelphia 76ers. What is Coach Young's take on it? My take is this. LeBron James, in my humble opinion, has become a mercenary. He has become an absolute mercenary. Okay. Miss me with all that stuff that he talked about. Well, I want to, I want to be happy. Miss me with that, because you can't tell me that you're happy in Philadelphia. No disrespect to the Philadelphia fans. Shout out to Lady T Purdy. She's a Philly girl. No disrespect to the Philadelphia 76ers. No disrespect to the Philly fans. But you're talking about, I want to go somewhere to be happy. Here's my thing. I want you to just be honest. Okay. You said you wanted to go for a championship. And I'm not saying this because I'm a Cleveland guy. Okay. Because, yes, would it have been nice for LeBron James to come back to Cleveland or go back to Cleveland? Yeah, it would have been great. But he's allowed to decide wherever he wants to go. But I'm going to break this thing down like a fraction to all my people who will come and say, oh, well, coach, you're just being a hater. No, I want you to understand is that he held the NBA hostage for about 2 months, and he already knew what his decision was going to be. He knew when Jaylen Brown was traded to Philadelphia, that's where he was going to go. He did what LeBron James has always done, which is put people on a wild goose chase and make it all about himself. Okay. He came to folks and he said it was about family. I get that. I'm not saying that. Bronny's doing well. He just signed a extension with the Los Angeles Lakers. He's going to have a wonderful career. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but he's going to have a wonderful career. Then you have Bryce, who's playing at the University of Arizona, and he's going to get some burn this year. So that there's no problem with that. Here's my thing. I know Zuri is his 12-year-old, about to be 13. She's about to turn into, she's doing very well when it comes to volleyball. And of course, Savannah has her own podcast and she's doing very well. The James family is doing well. So the happiness thing, I'm kind of like, all right. And so he went to Philadelphia, but he held everybody hostage. He held Golden State hostage. He held the Cleveland Cavaliers hostage. He held the Miami Heat hostage. Okay. And then Rich Paul, he goes on a podcast with Max Kellerman. Shout out to Max Kellerman. And then he put people on a wild goose chase. There is no way in Hades that your agent does not know where you're going. Okay. He's being an agent, and I understand that, but don't deceive the people. Now, I'm not trying to be negative toward LeBron James. I'm just saying, be honest. Be honest in your assessment. And so let me break this thing down on why he didn't go to various teams. And I know he's going to come out and he's going to talk about the nostalgia of Philadelphia. Of course, that's Allen Iverson's town. All right. That's Dr. J's town. Always will be. Charles Barkley. That's his town. Okay. That's their town. I understand the dynamics from a basketball aspect. Okay. Mike Gansey, who is the new general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers, was the associate general manager for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But that's not the connection. The connection is this. Mike Gansey played high school basketball at the same time that LeBron James did. And him and LeBron James have been friends for years. Okay. That's not what made his decision. Okay, I'm going to get into that in a minute. But the thing is, he held these three teams hostage. The Cleveland Cavaliers made no moves because they decided that they were going to wait on him, which that's another subject within itself. The Miami Heat, I knew he was never going to Miami because of his relationship with Pat Riley. And here, my thing is, with Pat Riley, him and Pat Riley have fell out. And the problem with that is you never heard from Dwayne Wade. So that's why I knew that LeBron James was never going to Miami, because there are two people in the Miami area organization, maybe three, that could have convinced LeBron to come back to Miami. That is Dwayne Wade, that is Udonis Haslem, and that is also Alonzo Mourning. Well, that did not happen. And I understand with the Miami fans, oh, we got Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, you did, but you gave up a haul to get him. So now your bench is depleted. And LeBron is a basketball savant. Say what you want to say about him. He understands the game. And so he knew that if he went to Miami, that he would have to carry a load. And at 41, 42 years old, LeBron James is not willing to carry that load anymore. It's not saying that he can't do it. He's not willing to do it. Okay. Even at his, at this age right now, we saw it last year in the playoffs. When Luka went down, he took over, but he knows that will not keep up in an 82 game playoff series. He knows that. So I knew he wasn't going to Miami. Okay. So let's get that out. Okay. When it came to the Cleveland Cavaliers, I wanted him to go back, but I understand why he did not do it. You have uncertainty, and the uncertainty is Evan Mobley. It is James Harden. James Harden looked absolutely putrid in the playoffs defensively. I don't care about talking about efficiency. I don't care about James Harden during the regular season. It has been shown that James Harden flames out in the playoffs. Now, I'm not going to put the Cavaliers being swept in the Eastern Conference Finals solely on James Harden. Kenny Atkinson had something to do with it as well. Okay. Now, I've coached basketball for many, many years. And one thing I do understand is this, is if you try to isolate me one-on-one, or you try to isolate one of my players one-on-one, you're telling me that player cannot play defense. Okay. That player cannot play defense. So when you saw Jalen Brunson isolate James Harden, not the first time, not the second, not the third, and not the fourth, what you said was James Harden cannot defend. And so the problem with that is Kenny Atkinson kept James Harden on the floor where he should have removed him. Because here's the thing, he was turning the ball over anyway in that New York series. He turned the ball over in the Toronto series. Okay, so it's okay to sit a superstar down. And I'm not saying James Harden is the superstar of superstars, but he's James Harden. Now, is he better than Darius Garland? He's a bigger version of Darius Garland. I'll put it like that. Okay, so back to LeBron James. LeBron wasn't going to deal with the dynamic of James Harden. I'm sure he did not have a problem in playing with Donovan Mitchell, but he also looked at Evan Mobley. The Cavaliers were not going to give up Evan Mobley. And I believe that LeBron, and I'll get into this further, I believe that LeBron actually needed Joel Embiid. And I will get into this in a moment. All right. Listen, if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, if you have not subscribed to the Coach Young Network, TikTok, I'm telling you right now, you need to subscribe to the Coach Young Network. I got so many things that are coming down the line in terms of TikTok and the Coach Young Network, and for YouTube. There's so many different things that are happening right now. And so I need you to get on this train right now. So if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, if you have not subscribed to the Coach Young Network, I'm telling you right now, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and please, please, please share. I would truly appreciate it. So getting back to LeBron. So I don't think he wanted to deal with the dynamic in Cleveland. I don't think that the way the organization was structured, that it would benefit him. Golden State, I knew he would never go to Golden State because he thought about legacy. He knew that by going to Golden State, that he would alienate himself throughout the entire league. And, and his legacy would be kind of tainted and tarnished. And plus, nobody wants to play with a whole bunch of geriatrics. Listen, I understand what Draymond Green was talking about, but you want to talk about guys who are older, guys who are up in age, guys who are injury prone. Draymond Green is not as injury prone as Steph Curry is, as Jimmy Butler, as Kristaps Porzingis. He wasn't as injury prone as them, but they have to look at how they would get through an 82 game season and staying healthy. I still think that's the same problem when it comes to the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay. But I do not and did not see where LeBron would have fit in Golden State. Okay. So I didn't even pay attention to Golden State. Philly kind of snuck up on me. But I truly believe that the reason that LeBron went to Philadelphia was not just about Jaylen Brown. Now, let me break this down to you guys like a fraction. I told you that LeBron James is a basketball savant. He is. He understands himself. He understands this game. He understands how to manipulate this game. When LeBron James was sitting down and he was looking at every single organization that potentially he could have went to, he wasn't just thinking about the Eastern Conference. He could care less about the Eastern Conference. He knows that with his eyes closed, he can become the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. What he's looking at is what he has to contend with when or if he comes out of the Eastern Conference. Let me explain. Your NBA Finals runner-up was the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs beat the previous champion, Oklahoma City Thunder. LeBron understands that with Oklahoma City, he's got to deal with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Okay? That's where Tyrese Maxey comes in. Checkmate. He realizes that he has to deal with Chet Holmgren. Okay? He realizes that he has to deal with the plethora of forwards like Jason Williams. Well, that's where he has Jaylen Brown. Checkmate. He also has to understand that with San Antonio, he's got to deal with that beast called Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama. So when he looked at the scope of the Eastern Conference, he was looking at what team, if he placed himself on that team, would match up with San Antonio or Oklahoma City. And that's where the Joel Embiid experience starts. LeBron James looks at Joel Embiid as a top 5 center. He also played with Joel Embiid in the Olympics. Now, I talked to my nephew earlier today. One of my nephews was like, well, what about Bam Adebayo in Miami? Bam Adebayo is a great player, but he cannot compete in a 7-game series with Victor Wembanyama or Chet Holmgren. He can't. He'll hold his own because Bam Adebayo is a great player, but he can't compete with that. And other than LeBron going to Denver with Jokic, he had to find a center that he knew could, one, still be a rim protector, but also be a dominant force on the offensive end. Checkmate. That's why he chose the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, where this can come and bite him in the behind is this. Joel Embiid is often injury prone. When Joel Embiid becomes disinterested, he stops playing. The reason why Joel Embiid can't stay healthy is because Joel Embiid is out of shape. And he's been out of shape for years. Smaller centers, all they have to do is what's called a rim run. If they don't rebound the ball, run from one rim to another, Joel Embiid cannot keep up for a period of time. Okay? But I believe because of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and also Jaylen Brown, he's connected himself with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, in my humble opinion, was that a great basketball move? Yes. I mean, think about it. Think about that force right there. If Joel Embiid is healthy, okay, and also Philadelphia signed Dean Wade away from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Dean Wade is a good defender at 6'10", 6'11". He's not a great offensive guy. That's why he didn't last in Cleveland. Mike Gansey did a great job. I probably wouldn't have signed him to a $40 million deal, but he did. Okay. And so that's one of the reasons why I believe LeBron James signed with the Philadelphia 76ers. Do I believe, like I said before, I believe that makes him a mercenary. Literally, it makes him a mercenary. To me, he is no better than the guys who ring chase. With all due respect, he's no better than the guys who ring chase. Now, that's me being a little personal because I'm a Cavalier fan. And like I said, from a basketball standpoint, he made the best basketball decision. But the way that LeBron went about it, to me, was wrong. Now, he had all the time in the world to make this decision, and he's allowed to make this decision. To me, I believe he already knew where he was going. Once the Jaylen Brown domino fell, I truly believe that LeBron knew exactly where he was going. And so I believe, and even when Rich Paul stated that he would have went to New York if New York wouldn't have won the championship, wouldn't have been any different. Okay. LeBron is chasing, and I say this and I mean this. LeBron James is chasing ghosts. We'll explain, Coach. I will. When LeBron James went to Los Angeles, he was chasing a ghost. And that ghost was the ghost of Kobe Bean Bryant. He would have never, no matter if he would have won multiple championships in Los Angeles, he would still be second behind Kobe Bryant. He could have never reached that plateau of Kobe. Yes, he passed Kareem. But I still believe that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is still being disrespected in the NBA annals. Okay, so he passed Kareem. That's wonderful. But he's still in the shadow of Kobe Bryant. And I believe that he remained in the shadow of Kobe Bryant as long as he stayed in Los Angeles. Like I said, I had this conversation with my nephew earlier before I came on. My top Lakers are in not this specific order. Is Jerry West, Kareem, Magic, Shaquille, and Kobe. No disrespect to James Worthy, Nick Van Exel. You can name all types of Lakers, but those Lakers that I just named, Elgin Baylor, no disrespect to him. But when you talk about Laker legacy, you're talking Jerry West, you're talking Kareem, Magic, you're talking Kobe and Shaq. After that, everyone else falls into his proper place, including LeBron. And miss me when it comes to LeBron winning the championship in the bubble. Listen, the championship is a championship. I had my doubts with the bubble, but the game of basketball doesn't change whether you have crowds or not. It's still an agonizing game. So when LeBron went to the Lakers, I knew it was a mistake then, because even though Kobe was still alive, he could not lace Kobe's boots. In the eyes of the people of Los Angeles, never. Okay. When LeBron went to Miami, I didn't like it at the time. I was younger, but I understood it as I got older. He knew that he wasn't going to attract people in the city of Cleveland, and no disrespect to my city, but at that time, you were not going to get top tier players coming into the city of Cleveland. So he had to do something to attract people when he did decide to come back. Now, the way that he went to Miami was wrong, and I'm not going to beat him down with that, because he did come back and he said that was one of the biggest mistakes that he made, was making that decision from going to Cleveland to Miami. But I understood, because let's be perfectly honest, y'all. I'm a Cleveland-born guy, but I'm a very honest guy. That team that he took to the NBA Finals against the San Antonio Spurs was the worst team ever assembled that he took to the NBA Finals. The worst, where your second leading scorer was Zydrunas Ilgauskas, and Z wasn't bad, but then everything else behind that, trash. And he took them to the NBA Finals. Okay? So I understood why he had to leave. It's just the way that he did it. Okay? And like I said, I'm not going to harp on that. When he went to Miami, he was young, full of vinegar. So that's when he came with the not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. He knew that was a mistake after he said that. Okay. Now, to me, was that the best version of LeBron during those Miami years? Absolutely. Now, people will say, hey, well, what about 2016? No, 2016, he was great. But I need people to stop disrespecting that there was more than just him on the floor during that finals. I still say today, and I will stand 10 toes down on it, Kyrie Irving should have been co-MVP of that 2016 finals. Somebody debate me. I dare you. Because when LeBron scored those 41 points, Kyrie Irving did as well. Where LeBron James came up with one of the biggest blocks in NBA history, Kyrie Irving hit the biggest shot in NBA Finals history. Kyrie Irving should have been co-MVP in that finals, because they were both fantastic. Okay. But I think the best version of LeBron James was in his Miami days. Okay. His most unstoppable LeBron James was in those Miami days. Okay. Now, this version of LeBron is still great. He's just older. Now, at the end of the day, is he allowed to make his own decision? Absolutely. But when you make that decision, be ready for it to be critiqued. Be ready for it to be criticized. Now, is LeBron James the master of the media? Absolutely. Because here's why. He came up with this decision today. Why did he choose today? In my humble opinion, NFL training camp is getting ready to start. Okay. In some camps has already started. At the end of the day, what are we talking about? On a Friday, we're talking about LeBron James. And every media outlet is talking about LeBron James. Every single media outlet, ESPN, Fox Sports, myself, whoever else, they're talking about LeBron James, because he also noticed that there was becoming LeBron fatigue. You think he didn't have his ear to the ground? He knew people were getting sick and tired of him waiting. He knew it. And when the commissioner came out and said what he said, that actually worked to his benefit because then it caused more eyes to come to LeBron. At the end of the day, when it comes to basketball, not life, when it comes to basketball, LeBron has always been about LeBron. After he came out of high school, it's always been what's best for him and nothing wrong with that. But sometimes his processes are what can be critiqued and people can be critical of. And so him deciding now listen, him deciding to go to Philadelphia, like I said, from a basketball standpoint, I can't knock that in terms of roster personnel. But like I said, I also know that him and Mike Gansey are really tight, and that really he didn't really have to go in and change a whole lot in terms of the organization. In my opinion, I've always said this, is LeBron James is an organizational destroyer. Think about it. Look at what he did in Cleveland the first time. After he left Cleveland, they were terrible. After he left Miami, they were okay. Los Angeles is going to try to rebuild. They're trying. They're going to try to go through Luka. I don't know how successful that will be, but they're going to try it. Okay. But LeBron James has always left destruction wherever he's been. Now, Philadelphia is more set up to, he signed a 2-year deal for $8 million. I'm sorry. He signed a 2-year deal for $8 million. All right. Which is, most folks will say, well, that's cheap. Yeah. For a 42-year-old basketball player, I think that's outstanding. Okay. And I guarantee you other teams offered him more. So when he says it's not about the money, I believe that. I truly believe that it wasn't about the money. He wants that ring. And he feels that Philadelphia gives him the best opportunity to get that ring. Does that make him a mercenary in my eyes? Yes, it does. Makes him a mercenary. And so some will say, well, what's the difference between him going to Philadelphia and him going to Cleveland? Because he's already been there. Now you're going to a whole new team. This is 4 teams in his 20-plus year career. Okay. Think of anybody else who's played 20 years. So how many teams, and I don't want to pick on Dr. O'Neal, but Shaq played for a lot of teams. Paul Pierce played for a few teams. Michael played for a couple of teams. Scottie Pippen played for a couple of teams. Charles Barkley played for ring chasing. When guys are ring chasing, with all due respect, Allen Iverson, ring chasing, they're chasing rings. Okay. And to a certain extent, I really don't have a problem with it. Just say it. I need to get one more. I want to see, can I get one more? Say it. Don't sit there and make up everything else. It's not about the money and I just want to be happy. Then retire. But this move here tells me you're trying to win a ring, and that's what you want to do. Now, let's talk about it from, Philadelphia standpoint, from a basketball standpoint. LeBron James is only going to give you 65 games tops this year. And nothing wrong with that. He's led the league in minutes played. He's led the league, in all different types of minute categories. So at 42, he's allowed to do some load management. I'm not expecting LeBron James to play 82 games. And the fans of Philadelphia, don't you expect it either. He's not playing 82. He doesn't have to. Okay. With Jaylen Brown there, he can play 60 to 65 games and be cool with that. At his age, you got to go load management, even though he's in tremendous shape. Listen, I'm not trying to come on here and be disrespectful and dog the man. I just don't like the fact that he took so much time to make this decision. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. Now, if he's thinking about his daughter Zuri, I get that. But if that be the case, if you were really, really like that, then he'd have went to Golden State, because that's just up the highway. You went to Philly. You went straight over to the East Coast. That didn't have anything to do with family. Let's stop right there. In my opinion, that had nothing to do with family. You wanted that ring, and you felt that the 76ers, as constructed, would win you that ring. Now, when you break down the Eastern Conference, how do you break it down? Listen, I'm not going to be disrespectful to the New York Knicks. They won the championship, so they are the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. Detroit, to me, has done nothing to surround Cade Cunningham with any help. They've done absolutely nothing. So you got to put Philadelphia number 2. Okay. Number 3, you could throw, you got the Knicks, you got Philadelphia. You have to put Miami up there now. Miami number 3, maybe not in that order. I'm sorry, not Miami. You got to go Indiana. Tyrese Halliburton will be back. And that team has not been dismantled. The Indiana Pacers took a L last year because they knew Halliburton would be back, and then they went and got Zubac from the Clippers. So don't count out the Indiana Pacers this year. Indiana, number 3. Then you have Miami, number 4. Okay. I'm not a fan of, you can throw Detroit 5th. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers, as they're constructed right now, is 6th in the Eastern Conference. Somebody debate me. I dare you. The way that they are constructed right now, they are number 6 in the Eastern Conference. Washington, the Wizards, are very intriguing because you have Trae Young, who came from Atlanta, and you have Anthony Davis. Okay. So Washington is intriguing. I'm not going to put Washington in the top tier as of yet because I need to see them on the floor. I need to see if Anthony Davis can stay healthy enough for an entire season. Okay. Orlando, to me, is going to be a dumpster fire. They fired their coach, who I thought was a great coach, because Paolo couldn't understand how to play basketball, even though he came from Duke. And it wasn't Jamal Mosley's fault that the Orlando Magic was terrible. It's the Orlando Magic because they got garbage players, and they thought that free agency, they thought that they were actually going to be better, and they weren't. So they blamed Jamal Mosley. It had nothing to do with Mosley. Okay. So the Cavs are like 6th in the Eastern Conference, 5th or 6th right now as they're constructed in the Eastern Conference. Now, if you ask me what the Cavaliers should do, I think people should wait and see what Kobe Altman's going to do. Jonathan Kuminga's still out here. DeMar DeRozan is still out here. Russell Westbrook is still out here. Kevin Durant. I don't see him staying in Houston. So there's different options that the Cavs can make. But like I said, LeBron James is allowed to make his own decision, and he did. Now, people in Cleveland are going to be upset, and Miami going to be upset, and Golden State going to be upset. But I'm going to say this, everybody relax. Everybody relax. I can understand if this was an 18, 19, 20, 22-year-old LeBron James. But this is a 42-year-old LeBron James. Doesn't make him less of a player. But Stephen A. Smith said this. When it comes to LeBron, he's respected. When it came to Jordan, he was feared. When it came to Kobe, he was feared. I respect LeBron James. I don't fear him. And if you put your organization together properly, you can win. So once again, shout out to Mike Gansey for pulling this off. He got away from Kobe Altman, and he is running his organization. The only knock is, can Philadelphia stay healthy? If they can stay healthy, they're going to be an absolute force. Be on the lookout for the Philadelphia 76ers versus the New York Knicks sometime on television. I can't, that's gonna be must-see TV. That's gonna be something to watch. That's gonna be a great game. Okay. Cavaliers need to make some moves, and they need to do it yesterday, because they sat and they waited to see what LeBron was going to do, where I would have just made my moves, and if he left, he left. Now you're sitting there, and now you gotta figure out what you're going to do after that. All right. All right, real quick. Listen, if you have not subscribed to the Coach Young Network or the Locker Room, I want you to do that right now. Push that subscribe button, push that follow button, and go ahead and follow. Listen, come join me as I go down this journey. Like I said, the Locker Room is not just about uh you know pro sports. I have been, like I said, I've been a high school coach for 25 years, 20 years. I keep saying 25, 20 years. And so I am going to be showcasing a lot of young talent here in high school sports in the state of Arizona. I, currently am putting this together. I will be talking to various coaches of various different sports, getting their input on how to deal with today's athlete, how to coach today's athlete. I'm going to talk to the student athletes today for literally, not just about the sport, but also about life in general, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And a lot of these young athletes are out here grinding. They're trying to be the next LeBron. They're trying to be the next KD, or they're trying to be the next, Patrick Mahomes and all. But I want to talk not just to those kids. I want to talk to the young men and women who are grinding behind the scenes, who are working very hard, not only academically, but in their sport, who may not be looked at by the D1 schools, the D2 schools, the D3 schools. And so where I live, it's called the West Valley. And so one of my things is, out here in the West Valley, athletes are not showcased. They're not shown. They're not put out there. And no disrespect to the East Valley here in Arizona, but that's what, most of these mass media people talk about. Well, I'm about to dispel that, and I'm about to stop that, because there are some great athletes here in the West Valley of Arizona, and they need to be showcased. And that's what the Locker Room is all about, is showcasing great talent, showcasing great coaches, and giving people knowledge on how to be the best version of yourself, whether it's sports or whether it's academia. Okay. And then also, I'm going to come on this side and talk a little bit of Cleveland sports, and also nationwide. I'm going to do that as well. But if you want to see me also be a subscriber of Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast, go on the tube called You and look up Three the Hard Way. You will see my face. You will see L Train, and you will see the captain, Terrence Austin. And we definitely talk about Cleveland sports on there. So, switching gears a little bit, getting off this NBA thing, the Cleveland Browns are going into training camp. And I'm so excited because I'm sick and tired of the Cleveland sports media. They've been making up stuff. They've been creating stuff. They've been bugging the absolute bejesus out of me, because they just, I'm just glad that everybody's going to be in camp, and we're going to be able to see this quarterback competition between Shedeur Sanders and between Deshaun Watson. Now, listen, I always come on here and I will say this, is that I'm not a Shedurian. I don't like that. I don't like that terminology. But for some reason, when people support Shedeur, people are labeled as a Shedurian. And no, I'm not. But what I want to see is a healthy competition. And what I also want to see when it comes to Shedeur is, I want to see the Cleveland media, the sports media, the nationwide media, stop hating on these kids. Let me address Rex Ryan right now. And I have a very close friend who knows him very well. And if he sees this, he sees this. And he's more than welcome to come on the Locker Room and we can talk about it. Shedeur Sanders did a documentary and, was talking about his journey and the things that he did, during his off season and some of the challenges that he had last season. Rex Ryan, NFL head coach, defensive coordinator, son of the late, great Buddy Ryan, who was the mastermind of the 46th defense in Chicago. He has been incredibly critical of Shedeur, and I don't have his comments totally. But, he talked about, him not spending time in his playbook and yada, yada, yada. And what bothers me is, number one, it's his off season. Now, Todd Monken, head coach of the Cleveland Browns, have said this. Shedeur has been the first one in the building and the last one to leave. I'm going to listen to the head coach. Now, Rex Ryan is an accomplished head coach, but I think he's missing the mark on this one. Leave that young man alone. Let that young bull figure it out. You constantly being critical of him, even though he's not paying attention to it, it just makes you look like a bitterman. I mean, literally, it makes you look like a bitterman. And my thing is, I want him and Deshaun Watson to compete for the starting position. I know people in Cleveland, especially the Cleveland sports media, most of them are looking for the savior, the Messiah, the one. And what I think they fail to realize is that you have two quality quarterbacks that are there now. No disrespect to Dylan Gabriel and Taylon Green. Taylon Green is a project, and I don't think that Dylan Gabriel should have been drafted in the third round anyway. Okay? And I tell folks, if you watch Dylan Gabriel when he played at Oregon and he played against the Buckeyes in a bowl game, that shows you all that you needed to see about Dylan Gabriel. Okay? But I'm not going to pound on him either. I think he can be a quality backup in the league. But I'm looking for this quarterback competition. I think Andrew Berry has done a tremendous job. I've said this time and time again. He's done a tremendous job in the last two drafts in putting together talent. And there is a youth movement. For those that think that Myles Garrett leaving is the nail in the coffin for the Browns, contraire mou frere. I need you to hold up. Although Myles Garrett is a first ballot, surefire Hall of Famer, sometimes you need to go addition by subtraction. And here's why I say that. Myles Garrett was never bought into the program. At least this program. He was bought into Jim Schwartz. But I believe if the Cleveland Browns would have kept Jim Schwartz, they would still be in the same boat. So it was good to move on from Jim Schwartz. As much as I loved Jim Schwartz, it was good to move on from him. So I want people to understand is I believe that it will be addition by subtraction. Jared Verse will have double-digit sacks this year. Not because he's trying to replace Myles Garrett, but as a football coach, it's the scheme. Jared Verse was in a 3-4 with the LA Rams. He will be now in a 4-3. He's going to have his hand in the dirt. And his responsibility is just going to be to contain the run and to go get the quarterback. He won't have to drop coverage all the time. I know there's some schemes where he'll be able to drop back, but he won't have to drop coverage all the time. And that defensive line is still formidable. Okay. Mason Graham is in the middle. Okay. You got Carson Schlesinger, who was the defensive rookie of the year. This is his defense now. Okay. You still got, the Warden back there and Denzel Ward. I think whether it's Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders, you still got Quinshon Judkins. Okay. The quality of receivers that have come up now. Jerry Jeudy this is a show and prove year for Jerry Jeudy. And so with Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston, Harold Fannin Jr., You have Spencer Fano as your left tackle for the next 10 years. The the Andrew Berry has done a wonderful job in a slow but competent rebuild of the Cleveland Browns. Todd Monken is a no-nonsense coach. And people try to criticize Coach Monken, and I don't understand why. This man has won at every level. I understand, he had some rocky road in Baltimore, but that's what happens when you get with an old school coach. Trust me, when I have the coach's corner and you guys will meet a gentleman by the name of George Martinez, you will understand what I mean by old school coach. And so I believe the Cleveland Browns will be a lot better next year or this year. Andrew Berry got a plethora of picks, which he should have. And it will make, if this quarterback position does not pan itself out, he's got a plethora of picks that he can go into this next year draft and go grab the Messiah and go grab, the Savior, He's coming on a white horse with a sword. I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? So training camp is starting. So I'm looking forward to the competition. Other training camps are starting. I'm looking forward to just football season coming around. And so who would I like behind center? I think, honestly, when you talk about for the Cleveland Browns, who I would like under center is Shedeur Sanders. And here's why. If you're going to have a youth movement, don't play around with it. You can't have a youth movement and then have an older quarterback who hasn't really thrown a competitive pass in a couple of years. Now, it's no knock on Deshaun Watson. From all reports, are saying he's looking good. There's some reports are saying he's not. Well, now it's time to show and prove. This is where the rubber hits the road, everybody. You got to get out in training camp and you got to throw that rock around. And we'll see. But I believe Shedeur Sanders will be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And I believe that they have Deshaun Watson as a competent veteran backup. If Sanders can't do it after the first couple of games, or if he goes down by injury, you have an insurance policy. Whereas if you get rid of Deshaun Watson, your insurance policy is Dylan Gabriel or Green. I just don't see that. Okay. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Switching gears real quick before I get out of here. The Cleveland Guardians got absolutely shelled yesterday by the Minnesota Twins. I believe that is the end of the series, but Jose Ramirez did return. It was different. He was put on injured reserve, and most of the times you have to do a stint in AAA before you come right back. They just skipped it. He came right back. He looks like he hasn't missed a beat. I wish the Guardians would do something with Kyle Manzardo. He is absolutely, positively horrible. And you keep and they keep throwing him out there. I don't understand what the deal is with Manzardo. It's either feast or famine with him. He's either going to tower you with a home run or he's going to strike out consistently. So I don't know what Stephen Voigt is going to do when it comes to Kyle Manzardo. They sent Watson back down, which I thought was a mistake. Watson was the most consistent fielder and hitter when he came up. He proved himself. So hopefully he'll come up during the playoffs. Travis Bazzana has been playing lights out. Okay. Hopefully Stephen Kwan can continue to come out of this slump. And I think the Guardians only one game behind. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the Guardians now because we're after the All-Star and hope to see the Guardians go ahead and lock in and get some things done. All right, guys, that is my time. Listen, be on the lookout for what time the Locker Room will be on. I know I normally would come on Saturdays, but I'm still trying to figure out when is the best day to come on to give y'all the best sports talk and give y'all the best Arizona high school sports information known. If you want to learn more about the locker room, you can go to my website, which is the lockerroom34.com. And you can lock in and look and see what I'm doing. If you go on YouTube, you can go to the lockerroom.34, and you can see some of my previous locker rooms where I talk Cleveland sports. But also, there's an episode that I have with brand new football coach at Tonopah High School. His name is Ramon Robertson. And had a great conversation with him and his coaching staff and a few of his players. So you can go on YouTube and look for that. So I am going to get out of here, guys. Thank you, YouTube. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, TikTok. I know I haven't been on here in a while, but I'm glad that you guys have tuned in. Please, when you see what days and times I come on back, share, like, subscribe, comment. One thing I'm always about is I'm always about the smoke. I don't have any problem if people are being critical of me. Just come on and let's just talk. Let's talk sports. If you have a subject, that you want to talk about, you can send it to me and I'll bring it up and we can talk about it. I have no problem in talking about sports. I love it. It's what I do. And so I enjoy it. All right. Let me get out of here, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Get out and get some sun. Okay. Stop watching the news because all it is about is fear mongering. And let's just live our lives, all right, to the best of our abilities, all right? And I will see you later. And what I will always say is this when it comes to the locker room: everybody, and I mean everybody, is welcome in the locker room. I'll see you guys later.
Have reached the home of Robert and Dolores Young. Please feel free to leave a message and time of call. Have a blessed day. Goodbye.